Hey y'all, hi. So in a video a couple of weeks ago, I was bemoaning the fact that all brown mascaras actually just look black on me or are dark enough to have the same drawbacks as a black mascara. The depth of color pushes the look slightly over the edge into unnatural. And I like that a lot of the time. And a lot of the time I'm wearing makeup that both kind of calms and evens my skin tone and enhances my features and has a little oomph, you know, a little something that is adornment. But sometimes I just want the first thing. A little bit of calming of my skin, a little bit of enhancement of my features, but I don't want that slight edge, that slight sense of added product. And any mascara that is that dark, right? As dark as black, which is most of them, or as dark as most brown mascaras, all brown mascaras I've ever tried. So any mascara I've ever tried, basically, until today, hopefully, gives me that edge. So I was applying a mascara, I was testing a brown mascara. I was bemoaning the fact that it's technically brown, but might as well be black. And you know, I'm not the only one. I've learned over the past week or two as I've been trying to find these products, acquiring them for testing. There are a lot of people out there who are like, every mascara looks a little bit off on me, which I imagine is especially true if you're not wearing makeup on the rest of your face. And black or very, very dark brown is not a hair color that is to be found anywhere on your body. And in that video, I gave a cri de coeur, and I said, all I want is a taupe mascara. Is that too much to ask? Well, of course, then the comments were flooded with suggestions, including an actually taupe mascara that I have today that I'm going to test. I got 5 because I just don't think we, and by that I mean my eyes and I, can handle more than 5 in a video. We'll see how it goes. If it goes well, but it feels like it's not enough, I'll do another one with another 5. I'm just going to be testing 5 mascaras that are brown that I think might be actual brown for various reasons. 3 of them are extremely affordable drugstore price. 2 of them are not sky high prices, but a little bit more than drugstore. Let's just start the video. Oh my God. Let's get into the meat of the video. Okay, first up, I'm starting with the $19.99 mascara because it is the one that the most of you are like, it's actually taupe. $19.99 has one that's taupe. Please says $19.99, blah, blah, blah. And it's also one of the 2 that I have already opened and tried because I just couldn't help myself. I like to do these kinds of videos as first impressions because I feel like there is actually something to be gained as a viewer from seeing somebody encounter the product for the first time, because it kind of replicates, or at least gives a sense of what it will be like for you if you decided to get it. And I think that that actually can really help with decision making. But with mascara, you know, the truth is told over time. Like the truth, the full truth about the product unfolds over time. So what I'm going to do is tell you all that I know about the 2 I've already tried, put all 5 of them on my lashes today for you, and then I will pin a comment in between when I film this and when I post it. I will test all of these as thoroughly as I can in that time frame. And I will pin a comment with all of the additional information about every single one of these 5 that I have at the time of posting. So definitely check that comment because I think there are things that I'll know as I test these more. I just didn't want to forfeit the fun of this kind of opening and testing video. So this, the $19.99 Lash Tint, and it actually says Lash and Brow Tint. So if that tells you anything, I already have, well, I don't really have my brows tinted today. I already have them in place with a gel though, so I'm not going to really mess with them. And it's in the shade Taupe. I know that we're having a hard time lighting the close-ups. I'm so sorry. The spot that's right in front of the camera when I hold stuff up is kind of dim right now. It's because we're still getting the lighting and everything situated because we moved just, you know, a month and a half ago. So the setup is still imperfect. I'm sorry. I know it's quite dark. The close-ups are quite dark, but hopefully it'll still be useful. I'm going to zoom you in for application so you can really see what's going on. And then I will tell you about this product, which I have put on a couple of times. What I want you to know before I start is just, it's a very thin, light, it's like no mascara wand I've ever seen. It is much more like a brow product and like a brow wand. And I wonder if it's not a brow product that they decided to market as a lash tint as well, which begs the question, couldn't just any brow product go on your lashes? I mean, I guess it has to be eye safe in a different way, or does it? Do brow products need to be eye safe in the same way that mascaras do? Anyway, let me apply this and then I will tell you how it's going, the experience I've had, everything. Okay, so first of all, the color. I'm starting with the color with each one of these because color is kind of the main focus of this investigation. It is the main factor that I'm curious about in each one of these. This truly is a taupe mascara, and it is not too dark. It is definitely cool toned. It's ashy. I absolutely love that. It's as cool toned as the coolest tones in my brows and hair when I dye my brows, and I dye my brows with like a cool toned dark brown. It is lighter than the color of my freshly dyed eyebrows. So it really looks natural on me color-wise. I mean, we'll get into the texture and everything in a second. Color-wise, though, it absolutely looks like this just is the color of my eyebrows, and I haven't put mascara on today, but I have dyed my brows. That is like what it looks like. And it is wild for me to wear this. I've worn it a couple of days in a row. I've never before had the experience of looking like somebody who hasn't put on mascara but who doesn't have invisible eyelashes, which is how this makes me look. I can see what I would look like if I had been born with naturally darker eyelashes. And for someone who's really interested in makeup, who's worn a lot of makeup for a lot of years and who tests a lot of makeup, to look into the mirror and kind of see a version of myself, like a face that I've never seen before, is wild. And it is really kind of invigorating and curious to me to have come across a product at this moment in time that gave me that experience. And I think that that is partly due to the color of this, which is impossible to find elsewhere on the market in my experience, but it's also due to the texture of the product and the way that it applies with this weird, bendy, skinny little brush. I hope that you can see from the close-up footage how lightly this applies. The first coat is almost nothing. It truly is a lash tint. And then as I build it, and I applied 3 coats today, went through 3 phases of application, it does get a little bit darker and the lashes do get a little bit thicker and a little bit longer, but they also become fluffier and fluffier as those tiny little tines are combing through them. So I end up with extremely fluffy, somewhat voluminous lashes, but there's no drama at all about them. It's just that it tints them, but the way that the product applies kind of keeps them light and fluffy, which I think is ideal for what this is aiming at. Now, all of that sounds phenomenal, right? That sounds fantastic, and it is. But this product doesn't come without its drawbacks in my experience so far. The main drawback is that it feels really dry, and it feels like there's barely any on the brush. And so I am getting, because of that, this experience of having it apply just the barest tint. It's building to something kind of soft and wispy and raspy and barely there and fluffy. But that's also what mascaras do when they're like almost empty. And it really feels to me, as someone with vast mascara experience, it really feels to me like a mascara that's at the end of its life that needs to be replaced. I'm used to, when I have this experience with products, when it feels the way that this feels to apply, I'm used to going, oh, this is almost done. I need to get a new mascara. It's running low. It's almost out. That's exactly what it feels like. The product itself, the actual texture, the formula, it is really moussey, really dry, which is part of why it applies in such a natural and wispy way, because it's not heavy, it's not gunking up or weighing down the lashes, but it feels that dry almost to a fault, like it's almost too much. It doesn't have any bite. It doesn't give me any sense of satisfaction as I'm applying it. It doesn't have textural satisfaction. In fact, it feels a little bit frustrating to apply because it feels like I have to keep swiping and swiping and swiping to kind of get any payoff. I think I would like it better if I could get to this point, the 3 laboriously applied coats, if I could get to this point more quickly and with a little bit more of a sense of like applying a product. But of course, that might be at cross purposes to what the product is trying to achieve. And that also might not be what other people want, people who feel a little bit leerier of makeup and a little bit less confident. Maybe if you're one of those people, then it's actually nice that it feels impossible to mess it up because it's not applying very much product at one time. But I am having a funny kind of love-hate experience with this, which is that I love the way that it ends up looking. I love the effect, but it feels like it's not going to last very long because it feels like it's drying out. And it might be, I got this from Amazon, and I don't know if it's shipped from an Amazon warehouse or if it's shipped directly from the brand. Maybe this one is really old. I want to know if you've tried this product. Did it feel like this right out of the gate? Like incredibly dry, almost like there's almost none left? Like, did it feel like that? And then did it last for like 6 months and it just stayed like that and that's what the product is like? Or is there a chance that the one that I got is on the old side and it's kind of starting to dry up in there, and that if I got a fresh brand new one straight from the brand, it wouldn't be like this? I like the color so much, and I like the effect, the superpower that it gives me of being able to literally tint my lashes, but to a color that looks natural on me. I like that so much that I'm almost tempted to buy it straight from the brand to get a fresh one to find out if that sort of frustratingly dry quality of the moussey product that's in it is how it's designed, or if that's just the one that I have here in my hands. Longevity for this is good. Here's a swatch so you can kind of see the color, and that's pretty good. I find that it stays all day, but that it washes off easily. A fascinating, unique product, and I think highly successful. And it's $18. I forgot to say that at the beginning. So that's not inexpensive. That's not like extremely affordable makeup, but at least it's not a $50 Gucci mascara, It's doable for many people, I feel, especially if it actually does last for months and months. However, that price point is one of the things that made me feel a little bit skeptical of it when I saw how dry it was and how little was kind of coming out on the wand every time I dipped it in. Okay, let's talk about the heimish Dailism Smudge Stop Curling Mascara in brown. This was another direct recommendation in the comments, and it is a tubing mascara, which is something that I know that I don't like. So I just need to say that right out the gate. Some people love tubing mascaras. I do not like them, Sam I am, and I knew that, but I decided to try it anyway because some of you in the comments were like, it's a light brown. I think somebody really sold me on it in a comment. And it's been a long time since I tried a tubing mascara, and my makeup tastes have changed. So I thought, oh, maybe I didn't like them then, but I like them now. I definitely still don't like them, and I'll tell you why. Because I've worn this also a couple of no, I just wore it one day. I wore it one day and I remembered on that day why I don't like tubing mascaras. But first, let's get into all of the details of this product and the application footage. Okay, so starting with the color. This is definitely brown. It does not look like black mascara on me color-wise. I think that there are other qualities of this that actually make it not that far of a cry from black mascara on me, like not that indistinguishable from it. But curiously, it's not the color that is doing that. It's a mid-toned brown, and it's slightly reddish, which in spite of the fact that I have reddish hair, I actually don't like. I like having my brows cool toned. I feel like the reddish quality just stands out really sharply. I think it's because I have olive undertoned skin. So it makes it look, again, more conspicuously makeup-y, that slight red tinge. When I look at the product on the brush or the product on my hand, it doesn't look that red. When I look at it on my lashes, it almost looks burgundy. And I think that that's just the contrast with the skin of my face. So that causes it to end up looking more makeup-y. But then the application, the way that it clings to the lashes and the way that it builds on itself also ends up making it look a lot more makeup-y than I would wish, and obviously more makeup-y than the first one that I tried. It's just much more of a classic mascara in that way. You can clearly see product on the lashes, and no matter how much I comb through it, no matter how much I try, you can see that product on the lashes. But it doesn't apply in the way of the most flattering mascaras for me, in that it doesn't really fan out my lashes, lengthen them, even thicken them in the way that I like. It kind of caused them to stick together a little bit. One coat looked quite stringy, and then I had to keep applying more coats in order to get any thickening, any kind of volume in them. But then that volume built in a slightly uneven, sort of clumpy way. That happened the first time that I wore this, and it also happened just now when I was applying it for the video. It's like, it's not a wispy mascara, but it's not high impact either. And to me, that's the worst of both worlds. Now, that could be because it's tubing. A tubing mascara is one that kind of forms a solid tube, like a drinking straw, a really tiny drinking straw around your lashes. And people like that because it then slides off when you take it off instead of dissolving and becoming like a pigmented paste again and kind of getting everywhere, which in theory is a positive quality. I can see why people would be into that. That's actually one of the things that I strongly dislike about tubing mascaras, which I'll get to in a second. It's not just the way that they tend to apply to the lashes because they're tubing, but it's also that whole entire thing with the removal method. But before we move on from it, the way that the formula applies, I feel like is a bit compromised because it's a tubing mascara. I just don't like the way that it makes my lashes look. So that is this mascara. That's the color, the formula, the way that it applies. Moving on to talk about what I remembered about why I don't like tubing mascaras. This is what it is for me. If your eyes water at any point throughout the day, the water, what it does is it kind of slides in underneath the tubes and then the mascara slides off. But it slides off into this like piece of seaweed. It's like a piece of wet seaweed, like all the little tubes are sort of stuck together. And then two things happen. One, that piece of wet seaweed gets like, it might like end up on your face somewhere or like stuck in your lashes. So it's like this big gunky thing that's somewhere and maybe you wipe it off. But then when you wipe it off, you're left with totally bare lashes, but maybe a couple of pieces of tubes sort of still clinging to a lash here or there. So that look of like, oh, my eyes watered and my mascara started coming off with a tubing mascara, it looks just terrible. It just looks terrible. And if it happens on one eye but not the other eye, then you look like you only have mascara on one eye. You look like a mess if your tubing mascara gets even in the slightest bit disturbed. A traditional mascara, on the other hand, if it gets disturbed, like if my eyes water and it runs a little bit, I can clean it up around the edges. And actually, it oftentimes ends up looking kind of good because that smudge of mascara, I wipe it off from here, but then it ends up like smudged a little bit on my waterline, like eyeliner, maybe like adding a little bit of darkness around my lid, like that just slightly smudged, worn in, messy mascara. But you know, in those cases with regular mascara, it's still on the lashes. Maybe it's a little thinner, like maybe it's lost a little bit of the volume that it had because some of it has emulsified and kind of dribbled away, but it's still there. Like your lashes are still tinted and you don't look like you've suddenly gone to having no lashes, which because I have such pale eyelashes, that's a pretty dramatic difference, right? That look, that's something I can get behind. I mean, that's something that I sometimes even go for when I'm applying my makeup freshly. So I feel like I can work with watery eyes, crying, even just like rubbing at my eyes by accident, forgetting, rubbing at my eyes, sweating. Like I can work with all of those experiences with a regular mascara over the course of the day. Whereas with a tubing mascara, any one of those experiences is sort of a disaster. And I just feel like I look wretched after that happens. So I had that experience when I wore this, when I tested it the first time, and you know, never again. I just have no interest in wearing this, both because of how it applies, its reddish tint, and then the tubing qualities. All of those things make it a no from me. Here's the color. You can see that it's darker than the Taupe mascara from 1999, and you can really see that red. Okay, the moment of truth. Can I remove these mascaras and then pivot to apply new ones? Oh, the heimish one I forgot to say is $10. The 3 drugstore mascaras are $10, give or take some cents depending on where you buy it. It's about $10. Okay, I have this micellar water. I usually cleanse my eyelashes with a cleansing balm and then a regular gentle cleanser after that. I usually do double cleanse at the end of the day. So I'm not usually using like a makeup wipe or micellar water or anything like that. But you can see what happened. That 1999 mascara with some micellar water on a washcloth and some gentle, very, very gentle rubbing, it came right off. There it is on the washcloth and it was very easy. Okay, so exhibit A, I guess this is exhibit C because I've given you 2 exhibits so far. This is what it ends up looking like. It can end up looking like. This is like a version of what it can end up looking like if you say your eyes water on a day when you're wearing tubing mascara. It's like, gross. What is that stuff? And this isn't even, I feel like, as bad as it can get because it didn't have maybe as much time to dry and totally set as it usually does. So the micellar water is actually wiping some of it off instead of it all just sliding off in the piece of seaweed. But those little bits and the way that they were clinging to some of my lashes and the way that they were sort of stuck down here, it only gets worse than that. Okay, I do need to make sure that my eyelashes are dry. I don't want to compromise the other mascaras by putting them straight on top of like slightly oily micellar water wet lashes. So I'm going to give it a second. I'm going to open the remaining 3 because I haven't opened them and then I'll be back. Okay, let's look at these 2 drugstore baddies. I feel like they're both going to be too dark. I haven't opened these. I mean, I just opened them, but I hadn't opened these. I haven't tested them. You know, I have a long and storied history with Lash Paradise. This was my mascara of choice, I think during the no-buy year for a long time when I was first here on YouTube. tube. And I did have the brown one a couple of times, but at that time they didn't have this shade, which is called Latte brown. So when I was looking this up, I saw it and I was like, oh, Lash Paradise, whatever. I know that that brown is as dark as all of the other brown mascaras on the market. But then I saw that there's black, there's brown, and there's burgundy or something. And then there's latte brown. So it seems like they came out with a lighter brown. So that's this, and I cannot wait to see what it looks like. And then Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High. This was a recommendation from the comments, and the shade is called True Brown. So that makes me think they're also responding to these complaints about the fact that brown mascara is actually just like light black. It looks pretty dark, y'all. I mean, I appreciate that it's kind of cool toned, but it looks pretty dark. All right, let's look at Maybelline Sky High. A very different brush, a very different formula on the back of my hand, it feels, but this is even darker than the other one. So moving from closest to my thumb over, we've got 1999 in Taupe, Heimish, and then we have Lash Paradise in Latte Brown, and then Lash Sensational Sky High in True Brown. So I'm going to zoom you in. I'm going to put Lash Paradise on my right eye and Sky High on my left eye, and then I'll report back. Ugh, I'm so not into either of these. However, you know, Lash Paradise is a great mascara. Well, first let's talk about color, and then I'll get into that. They're both just, I mean, come on. I just look like I'm wearing mascara. You know what I mean? They're both the quintessential, like, might as well just be black mascara for me. Of course, if you had me side by side comparison with an actual black mascara, then yeah, they would be a little bit softer. And making the green in my eyes pop a little bit more. So there's a slight difference, like a subtle difference between this and a black mascara, but these mascaras, the color of them doesn't give them the subtlety that I'm looking for in a brown mascara. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to find that at the drugstore yet. I mean, hopefully it's something that will come with time. Some brand will figure it out, but I did have hope. I had like foolish hope based on the change in the color name or the added shade of brown in this one. I mean, it looks exactly like the old brown, but the writing was on the wall. As soon as I saw the swatches on my hand, I was like, oh. Quality of the product though, this reminded me that Lash Paradise is really a good dupe for Too Faced Better Than Sex. It's a good mascara if you want length and volume and kind of weighty, full lashes. It definitely looks like makeup, but especially if you want brown, but it can still be a dark brown, you know, if you have darker coloring and you just want to enhance your lashes and add that mascara-y look, but a quite dark brown isn't going to give you too much contrast or is going to be like a really natural color on you, then these will be fine, especially Lash Paradise. I mean, it performs well. Sky High, I don't like at all. And funnily enough, my lashes did end up looking kind of like the picture here on the packaging, like really long, but thin and sort of sparse. I mean, I guess that this mascara is really all about lengthening without adding any fluff, like any fluffy volume, but I don't like that at all for myself. So that was a fail in like every single way. It was also frustrating. I mean, Lash Paradise has that kind of fluffy hourglass shaped brush. It's really easy to apply. It applies a ton of product all at once. It's like the opposite of the 1999 mascara. As soon as you start going in, I only needed 2 coats of each one to get this, you know, pretty strong lash look, especially on this side. As soon as you start going in, it's like, bam, lashes, really present, slightly shaping, very volumizing, buildable, and give us a pretty even coat, you know what I mean, on the lashes. This one, it was like they started getting really long and stringy. That's what they looked like, long and stringy. And then as I tried to build, hoping that the brush would dig into the roots and separate my lashes more and give me a little bit more volume, I started to do that. It just built up more little gunky bits on the tips of the lashes, which didn't look natural at all. So it kind of defeated the purpose of adding length while retaining a natural look. It kind of felt like a tubing mascara. It felt like it was applying like a tubing mascara. I'm going to take both of these off. Okay, I only have one more, and this was correct. I guess I could have done 2 more, right? I could have done 3 mascaras on each eye. If I do this again, I'll know that that's the limit. But I feel like this is it. Like my lashes, if I continued on with removing and applying more after this, my lashes would get kind of waterlogged with micellar water, and I think we wouldn't be getting an accurate sense of how the mascaras apply. But I think that I've got one more in me. My lashes have one more in them. And this one, so those other 2 that I just had on. They were both about $10 as well. This is the most expensive of the lot at $19. It's also available on Amazon. All of these are, but it's a little bit more of a specialty product. Redhead Revolution, which I found out about this from the comments. And at first I was, the thing that I'm worried about is that it's going to be really warm tinted. I didn't even like the warm brown of the one from Heimish, but it intrigued me enough to give it a try because it is a much paler color than a lot of the mascaras that you see. This is the shade Genuine Ginger, lighter mascara shades for a more natural look. They have another shade which is like an auburn that's darker, but I was like looking in the review pictures and it was like even that darker auburn shade specifically for redheads looked on a lot of people like it might as well be black, or it's like it really did create that contrast. So I'm curious about this one, which is like the very light shade Genuine Ginger. It's less red than I was worried that it would be. Yeah, that looks like a light brown. Oh my gosh, this might... Okay, so I was really expecting that this would not be it. It does look a little... Now that it's in my hand, it looks a little bit warm, but it's like that yellow warmth rather than the burgundy red of the one from Heimish. And it's that burgundy that was making it look really makeup-y on me. This sort of, it's like a pukey color, but I love that. It might be the ticket. I'm zooming you in. Okay, wow, this is exciting. I was not expecting this to work out. I really thought Redhead mascara, I thought it would be really, really red. So the color, it is darker than I was hoping, right? When I first started applying it, after having swatched it and looked at it, I was like, oh, it looks pretty dark. It looks like a pretty dark brown. It's adding the definition of a dark brown mascara to my face. But it's doing that without adding the slightly off effect of a very dark brown or a black mascara. So essentially that is what I've been looking for, right? A mascara that doesn't kind of cause that slight sense of discomfort, slight sense of like the puzzle pieces not fitting together when I'm going for a natural look, a natural makeup look that hinges on the coloring all being natural to me. So it's doing that, but it's dark enough to definitely still read as makeup. And the formula also reads as makeup. When I just had one coat on, it did look pretty natural, pretty fluffy, not as sort of raspily and dryly fluffy as the pomade mascara from 1999, but really wearable for a no makeup day, really wearable for a wide variety of people. But the mascara is pretty high performing. I was able to build it up with 3 coats to something akin to the effect of Lash Paradise, Better Than Sex, like just a classic volumizing, lengthening, makeup-y mascara from the last 15 years. And it looks great. I mean, my lashes look great up close. It looks like a lovely, even, buildable spread of pretty dramatic mascara, but again, without that slight wrongness of contrast that I get with something very dark brown or black. So this is a great option for me, and it's not too weirdly red at all, or it's warm, or it's red in the right way. I think that it's funny, it looks a little greenish. It looks like a little bit of a greenish, yellowish brown, which is the natural look. It's that very pinky brown, that very burgundy brown that would contrast. And I think that shows that they put a lot of care into developing it. They were really like looking at actual color instead of just the concept of color. So that I find super successful. And what a great surprise at the end of the video. However, final thoughts. These are my final thoughts. Sadly, the 3 $10 mascaras, the 3 most affordable ones, the Heimish, the L'Oreal, and the Maybelline, I'm not going to use those. I tested them for this video and I'm never going to wear them again. They're not going to go into rotation. I would rather just use the black mascaras that I have that I know are really high performing in terms of formula. However, the 1999 Taupe Tint and this one from Redhead Revolution Genuine Ginger are going straight into my makeup bag. And I think that I will be reaching for the Taupe Tint all the time on days when I'm not wearing any other makeup, or a lot of times I do all of my makeup, like my skin, my brows, maybe a little bit of blush, a little bit of lip treatment or something, and I look pretty put together and I just don't feel like like going that very extra mile that is mascara for me because it's such a contrast to my natural coloring. Any mascara, even the slightest, lightest application of normal mascara for me, it is a very extra mile and it pushes the look from very natural makeup, no makeup makeup to makeup makeup. Like I can't have no makeup makeup with regular mascara. It's always makeup makeup. So I think that what I'm going to start doing is when I have those days when usually I would just leave my eyelashes as they are, which is fine. I actually really like that look, but it leaves my eyes without the definition, you know? And sometimes I kind of want that definition, but I'm having to choose between no definition and makeup-y makeup. So I will be using this Taupe lash tint to even the score there, to just add a little bit of definition without adding makeup-y makeup. That's really exciting. It's an exciting tool to have. And I think this one, Redhead Revolution, I feel like I'm going to start using it as my other mascara almost all of the time. Like when I'm wearing a slightly heavier makeup or when I'm wearing eye makeup or something, I'm going to start using it because it really adds definition and balance to a makeup look, but it looks more correct on me than black mascara. It just does. So they really succeeded at their brief over there at Redhead Revolution. But it is a real mascara, so it's harder to get that extremely natural, like is she or isn't she look than it is to get that look with a $19.99. I mean, this one, the $19.99 tint, it's like maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Lash Tint Mascara, Lash and Brow Tint from $19.99 in the shade Taupe. So that is it. Fascinating, fun, and a little bit disappointing because I didn't find a truly brown mascara at the drugstore or at a drugstore price. So I'm still taking suggestions, but know if you're going to put a suggestion in the comment that the Maybelline brown, the L'Oreal brown, like that's still the issue. Like those still have the problem. I'm looking for something really off the beaten path, but I would love to find one to be able to recommend one that's more around the $10 range because these two, the two that I found today that I feel like I can recommend for this issue are a little bit closer to $20. Not the worst, but not the best. Thank you for being here with me today. Oh, what fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. And I hope you're registered to vote.